Hi tarot friends, it's Jade here with Tarot Your Truth, and I am back with the next installment in my Walking Through the Tarot series, where I walk through and compare all of the, or most of the in this case, Nine of Swords card, and compare the Rider-Waite-Smith version, which I'll always keep on the left here, against other versions of both Rider-Waite-Smith based decks, as well as Ancient Italian and Marseilles and Thoth. So in total we'll go through about 50 cards or so. And first of all, actually I want to say welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I really appreciate your being here. I hope you enjoy this series. This just to put things into perspective, I am not trying to teach anyone anything. This is more for me than anything else. One of the ways that I learn best is by comparing and analyzing and reading and talking about things and writing things down. So this, I've already done the writing things down part in terms of the different interpretations and whatnot, and reading about him, about each card, and journaling about each card. And this part here is where I actually go through and analyze, look at the individual artwork and see how that might change things. Now, to keep these videos short, I'm trying to keep the pips to under 15 minutes if possible. I don't spend too much time really talking about the differences in the artwork, but I will show them. And I do go through these for myself. I go through these videos afterwards again, one at a time, and actually I do analyze them and I do look at the differences, which I can do from anywhere I have an internet connection kind of thing. So I hope you enjoy. Again, this is for this is just for learning and comparing purposes, but since we're already 2 minutes in, let's get a move on. So on the left here, I have the Nine of Swords from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. This is actually the Radiant Wise Spirit deck by Lo Scarabeo. I'm not a huge fan of the Rider-Waite-Smith version, or Pixie's artwork, I guess. In most cases, I don't really like the artwork, but this particular one, I don't mind. There's still issues with it, but this is probably the most palatable one to me so far. I don't want to, everybody likes different things, right? So I'm not going to, I'm not, if you love it, then that's awesome for you. Okay, so let's just start by reading what the typical Rider-Waite-Smith meanings say for this card. So what we have is anxiety and sleeplessness. Your mind is too full. Your troubles seem vast and unmanageable. You just can't put them down. Anxiety comes when we can't control the outcome of something. It's exhausting. And on the reverse side, this is the card for depression, pain, and hopelessness. This to me, this artwork actually says exactly all of that to me. And I guess if, like me, you have suffered through bouts of anxiety, or even depression, then this will probably be very familiar. Anyways, let's look at some other Rider-Waite-Smith style of decks. So this one here is from the Art History for Past Lives. I probably won't say every single card what deck it came from, but if you are interested, then please give me just send me a comment down below and I will respond. In previous videos I have done that, so we'll see how it goes. So this one is from the Art History of Past Lives. Kind of says the same thing to me. Actually, what does the artwork is called The Nightmare, from 1790 by Jonathan Heinrich Fuseli. I apologize if I'm I know I'm probably mispronouncing that name. But again, it gets to the same place, even though that artwork was pre-existing. This one is this the Fountain Tarot? Yep, it's the Fountain Tarot. Again, I get the same feeling from it. The Dark Mansion, same sort of thing, monsters above the bed. The Teramuha, the Modern Witch, the Hidden Realms. Now this one's a little bit different, right? In terms of art style, we don't have knives or anything sort of pointed at her. Let's have a look at what that book, Little White Book, has to say about that card. Hidden Realms, Hidden Realms. Okay. It says, it has been a tough time. You've faced some challenges and made some difficult decisions. The good news is that the Nine of Swords indicates that this phase is at an end, or very nearly so. Your current task is to wrap things up. Some people make the mistake of reliving such times over and over, watching the tapes with regret, bitterness, or anger. In order to move forward, you need to relive the situation one last time through the eyes of compassion for yourself and for everyone involved. Learn the lessons embedded in the experience. Recognize the wisdom gained. Then you can truly move forward. I love that. I love that meaning. It is true. That's one of the things with anxiety for me anyway, is that I keep something doesn't go well, or I'm worried about something, and I keep replaying it over and over and over in my head. And especially, especially if something is unknown, that I'm constantly replaying scenarios that maybe aren't accurate over and over in my head for whatever reason. But that is the monster that is anxiety. All right. We have the Shadowscapes Tarot. That one comes to the same place, I guess, except instead of swords, we have the birds all going up in a funnel. And in terms of the book meaning for that one, we have, let's see if I have that here. Inner turmoil. It is a moment of vulnerability with a soul laid bare to its own demons. Guilt and fear lock muscles into immobility. And isn't that the truth? It's my truth anyway. All right, so the Santa Muerte, the Mystic Mondays, which again says the same. The Joie de Vivre, he looks a little worried there. The Housewives Tarot. That deck makes me laugh so much. The Mermaid Tarot. The Dame Darcy. The Wild Unknown. This is such a difficult card for me to look at. Anyway, I really, really don't like worms. The Lightseers Tarot, and again, like as with the Shadowscapes, we have the birds up in the sky. And she's got this, amazing opportunity or amazing possibility here, but she just can't see it because of all the worries in front of it. The Spirit. The Revelations Tarot. So this is right side up. Again, just a little reminder that for this deck, you read the right side up this way from the center up. So she looks very worried there. Can't bear to look at what's above her. And then on the reverse side of things, same kind of thing, all the things coming at you, but potentially you have some means of breaking through. The Spirit Keepers. One of my favorite decks in the world, which is the Everyday Witch. Another one of my favorite decks in the world, which is the Muse. Let's be honest, most of these decks are my favorites. Or I wouldn't have them. There are a couple that I haven't totally developed a relationship with, but I'm hoping to remedy that. So this is the Game of Thrones tarot, the Dire Wolf, the Pagan Otherworld. We've got the Ethereal Visions, where instead of knives, she's got all this stuff happening, monsters, and actually we do have knives. They're wrapped into a crown. The Druid Craft. The Mythic Tarot. That is actually one of the decks that I want to develop a relationship with. Mystic Manga. The Spiral Trimmed. The Chicoli deck. Let's have a look at what that one says. Your nightmares are creeping through into your waking world, and your fears are justified. Either stay quiet until the crisis passes, or stand and face it bravely. Paralyzing fears, panic, primitive instincts. Yep, and yep. The Raven's Privacy. Influence of the Angels Tarot. This, sorry about the glare, but this card, there's just so much symbolism. I really love this deck. There is so much symbolism in this card. I mean, you can look at her. She's obviously not very happy right now, but we have, we have the angel in the background looking at the, what is that? It's a sheep with a dead lamb, maybe, or I think it's meant to be something else, but anyways. And if you read the book, which I won't do right now because I don't have it right here, but if you read the book, so that the lamb is dead. I don't know if that's its mother, but obviously not very happy about it. Surrounded by carrion birds, and the symbolism behind the specific type of animal is that it is a masticating animal, right? Just like cows are, where they're just constantly chewing and chewing and chewing. And like when you've got anxiety, that's what you're doing, right? You're constantly reliving and reliving and reliving the situation. What could I have done better? I wish I had done this, or I wish I had done that. So it's really, I love this deck because they just put so much thought into, what to put on the card and all the symbolism. Anyway, this is the vice versa. So this is the front and the back. So those swords are standing between him and a sunny sky. The Tarot de la Nuit. And let's have a look at what that one says, if I have it here. My life has become a nightmare, yet the moonlight shines upon me. Just deep in my heart, I feel those moonbeams are telling me not to give up hope, and that my negative thoughts can only bring an even worse reality. Maybe I worry too much. Do you too? In my mirror, I see the reflection of a girl who should love herself more and do all she can to feel better instead of despairing endlessly. fears, sufferings, negative beliefs, bringing a negative reality, too much worrying. Yes, yes, and yes. Okay. The Crow Tarot. Crystal Visions. The Rackham Tarot. Emerging Toronto Artists. The Gilded. The Zombie Tarot. The Herb Crafters Tarot. The Wildwood, which I really need to start working with more. Okay, and then the last of the Rider-Waite-Smith style is the Next World Tarot. Let's have a look at what that one says. And I apologize, we've already passed the 15-minute mark. Okay, this is the moment we are asked to ignore by our bosses, our impatient allies. It's the moment of fully embodying the accumulation of suffering and healing, coagulated into a fortress of inner light and outer rage. The 9 looks her best, her brightest, and her fiercest, because her pain does not dictate her power. She lets her pain reign. She writes sad songs, smokes Capri menthols under a chrome umbrella to blow into the face of despair. Sure, she's upset, but she allows herself to grieve, to cry, to scream. The 9 of Swords asks you to spit in the face of turmoil and let vulnerability give you strength. Reclaim hysteria as if it were your secret power. Yep. Not always an easy thing to do. Okay, so let's look at some ancient Italian style and Marseille, which I'm going to put together because they look very similar. So we'll start with the Visconti Sforza, and let me just adjust this a bit. Those are fairly large cards, obviously. The Minchiade, Etruria. Do I have that upside down? I think I do. Sorry about that. Valentina Visconti. Marsiglia Classico. And those are not swords. Sorry. Those are wands. The Tattoo Tarot. Sorry about that. The Wandering Oracle, Marshmallow Marseille. The one, J.J. Smith. The Sola Busca. So this is actually the Ancient Enlightened Tarot, I think it's called, which is a version of the Sola Busca. I didn't bring my museum quality out because the artwork is actually the same, even though it has these ugly black borders. The Tarot of the Master, which is the Vaquera deck. The Tarot Classic. Actually, let's have a look at what that one says. Okay. So, misery, concern, quarrel, unhappiness, miscarriage, anxiety over a loved one, worry, despair, suffering. Pretty similar, right? And then on the reverse side, doubt, suspicion, slanderous gossip, shame, scruple, timidity, shady character, reasonable fear. So again, fairly similar, I think, to the upright meaning. And we have the paradoxical version of Trionfi della Luna. And that's all for those ones. Let's have a look at the Crowley. So this is the Thoth, which I have trimmed right down to the artwork. And then we have the Millennium Thoth, which is pretty well identical, just updated updated artwork. And let's have a look at what that one says. Oh, here it is. Okay. Illusions appear. Nothing is as it seems. Your imagination takes over. Stresses are temporary. On the reverse side of things, release yourself from fantasy. Simplify your situation. Positive thoughts flow into your brain. So again, we started with the Thoth. Things seemed fairly similar. In terms of the sword suit, the meanings between the three different systems that I've shown seemed very, very similar. And yes, they do have, they definitely have some nuances in them, absolutely. But for the most part, you could get from the meaning of one to the meaning of another. Of course, you're free to disagree. But for me, that's what it seemed like anyways. But then once we got to the Six of Swords, that's where the meanings really started to diverge between the Thoth systems and the Rider-Waite-Smith or Marseilles. And then we have the Handel Tarot. And yeah, I mean, this one again, the meaning, I don't have the booklet actually right here, unfortunately, but the Handel is also slightly different than the others. I'm reaching over here to see if I can find it, but I don't have it right here, unfortunately. The meaning again seems slightly different to the others, even the other Thoth systems. But I think again, in terms of the Thoth piece, you could probably get there. I have not worked with this deck really yet. Learning the Thoth system is one of the things I'm planning on doing this year, and I've also not looked at the I Ching references that are on these cards. I don't know anything about I Ching either at the moment, but again, I hope to rectify that by the end of this year. So there you have it. There are the 9 of Swords for the 3 different systems. We've looked at about 50 different cards. And for the most part, the Rider-Waite-Smith system seems to be, regardless of the art style, yes, there are nuances, but things seem to be fairly stable. Even with the classic or the Marseille style tarot, things seemed very, very similar. And then once we got to the Thoth system, things seem to be a little bit more upbeat, not quite. So still speaking to the culmination of that suit, but not as dire as the RWS system seems to be, or even the Marseille for that matter. Okay, so there you have it. I apologize this video was so long. This is the 9 of Swords. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any ideas or if you'd like me to change anything or speak to something in particular. I would be more than happy to. And if I'd also love to hear if any other meanings have come up for you with regards to these cards, or to this, to the 9 of Swords. I would love to hear any interesting readings that you have done. I would also love to hear. So until the next time, my friends, we'll see you in the 10 of Swords. Bye-bye.